why not?
Why not? Because we prepare for this so well.
Hey, I got my cooler with ice.
I think it was one of the podcasts you were digging around in there for your last beer. And I swear to God, it sounded like you were throwing an aluminum chair through a wood chipper.
Hey, man, it adds it's Foley work. It adds texture to it.
Yeah, fully work.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I was actually kind of like pacing through some of the other some other podcasts and Abe Lincoln Stop Hat. They've been doing that for 9 years.
Yeah.
And if you look at I think it's I don't know, top podcast or SoundCloud or whatever, they don't get that many more views than we do. Now I'm sure Apple and whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was just about to be. Hey, we're one of the big boys now. Mike's meant to be plugged in, but we're one of the big boys.
Yeah, forgetting to plug in shit and hit record, but
yeah.
Hey, I know for a fact that the last podcast, guys, I've done that on multiple occasions. Just not hit record.
Oh, I'm sure everybody does it.
Because there was one where they started the podcast and Henry was very adamant. He's like, "Are you sure we're fucking recording now?"
Yeah. I've on multiple podcasts I listen to, I've heard that where they're just like, "Are you sure now?" And they're like, "I don't know, but we're doing it." Yeah. No, there's a couple of the ones I listen to. They're comedy sketch type things that they all do the same fucking thing. Nobody knows how to use this shit.
I have one of my buddy, Chris. He's been on the podcast a couple times. Parker, yeah, he and his it's not the guy he works with. It's another lawyer in Clearwater, but it's not his law partner. But they have a podcast / TV show, and I swear to God, they're trying to make it legit. They go on location. They got all this equipment and actual things they got to plug in. I don't know, man. Seemed like a lot of work.
I mean, yeah. It seems, you got to do it before it's big, so.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they really want to do. I think if I knew Parker, he's eventually going to turn it into a public access show where he takes your legal questions or some shit like that.
Yeah.
They'll use it to drum up legal business. Hey, did you just get a DUI? Call me.
Tell him I sent you. Tell me I sent
you. When you show up at the jail, tell him Parker sent you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Well, let's go ahead and kick this pig. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Justin Woods, and welcome to the Woodscast. This is the 8th one of these sumbitches we've done, and with me, as usual, through the magic of the interwebs, except usually he just yells out of a window, is my brother Shay. What's going on, Shay?
Hello. Nothing.
And we are officially recording. I have my microphone plugged in this time. It is. I mean, we are.
You've lied to me before. I don't know if I can trust it.
That is true. That is very true. And since you said that, I'm going to check and make sure we got little beeps and bloops. Yeah, there's beeps and bloops.
Yeah, you probably fucking should, man.
Oh, who knows, man? So much shit's going on. All right, we are. What are I don't even have the numbers ready to share. I totally fucking buff that one. It's 697 days in the Trump administration, something like that. We're 42 days out of the midterm. We still got that North Carolina race that's hanging on, but who the hell knows?
I stopped fucking paying attention. It's still fucked. Okay, that's shocking. Yeah,
that's shocked. The only thing I've noticed about that North Carolina race where the Republican hired a guy who apparently went around and collected absentee ballots and either destroyed them or filled them out the way he wanted to, is that the GOP candidate has admitted today, I think I saw the article today, he admitted to hiring that guy, as if it was up in the air, but...
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's we're still a long way away from that being worth a shit of a story, because we need to know the who's and where's and what's, and then everybody's going to go to jail. But we'll get to people going to jail later in the podcast. Trump is right at 40% in Gallup, 42 something in 538. That's not going anywhere. I did see an article the other day, Shay, and I don't know if you paid attention to this or gave a shit, but apparently Melania's poll numbers dropped by double digits this week, which is I didn't know we were polling. I guess you poll on the first lady's. You
polled the first lady, yeah, but
I didn't know that was a big.
That's news to me. People track it.
Yeah. Like,
Don't care.
or I don't know what she did to like drop by double digits last week. I don't know.
Oh, what the fuck did she do for people to like her besides being hot?
I don't know.
I mean, she's never done shit besides give that really great speech that Michelle Obama
Yeah,
wrote.
that never gets fucking old. And
Uh,
the only thing, remember, she was gonna do.
I'm sure Michelle Obama didn't write it, but
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Remember, her main initiative was gonna be this anti-bullying thing.
I
And
remember shit about that.
well, like 3 or 5 months ago. It's been a while. It's been a chunk of change in days ago, but it was far enough into the Trump administration where they were like, "All right, you got to release something about this bullying thing." So they released this pamphlet, like how to fight cyberbullying on Facebook and the Facey Spaces and the My Books and all that horse shit. And the entire pamphlet was word for word what the Obama administration had released like 3 years prior. They just
That
changed.
sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they changed some icons in the pamphlet. It was pretty funny. But yeah, the only thing Melania did in the last like 2 weeks that I've heard anything about that could have tanked her poll numbers is she said that she's really tired of everybody using her for their publicity or something. I'm like, what the fuck ever does that mean?
I can't. I don't. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Somebody somewhere got paid to bring that up so that it would take the heat off of Trump. Nobody gives a shit what his wife's doing.
Right.
Like realistically.
No, I think she might be the one member of the family that might get out of this without going to jail. Like that's the only thing that she is highlights right now.
God, I want to see his kids go to jail so bad.
All right. Hold on.
I don't. Oh, it's so good.
Hold that thought. We'll get there. All right. So fun stuff. So you finally saw Venom.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So what were your impressions?
Wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was. I was just about what you expected to be. It was some goofy buddy cop kind of thing that feels like they had a couple of good action sequences written, and then they remembered they needed to have a villain and have that guy get bonded and become Riot. Like it was. I mean, it was whatever. You know, he kind of looks cool. Like that's probably the best like visual representation of him I've seen because I like it because he's like fucking 8-10 feet tall or whatever. He's huge.
Yeah, they were.
I like that about it.
There were, like we talked about this before, and you just hadn't seen the movie, but it's like there was just so much nonsense, and like within 5 minutes, they spent literally about 5 minutes coming up with a reason for a big battle in the end. Like, see that guy? He's gonna kill everybody you love. And he hates puppies. Go get him. It's just like this.
Yeah.
It's so fucking truncated and like
it's got that weird scene where Venom's like, "It's beautiful here. I like it." Like it's so weird. I don't know, man. And again, it's all and he never uses really like spider powers or whatever because he had all that. But it was fucking silly. It's fucking silly.
Well, it was gonna be silly. It was gonna be hard to tell that story without Spider-Man anyway.
Yup.
And it was also kind of interesting to see. Like I caught the buddy comedy, Lethal Weapon, number 5, whatever the hell it would be. Vibe 2, and I don't know. You can really run that in any way because like even in the comics and the cartoons, like they go all fucking sorts of different ways with it. So. It's really hard to nail down that character, but yeah, it was goofy. It's made like $850 million at this point. So when they announced,
they're gonna make more, yeah.
Yeah, well, and they were like, "Well, we just greenlit a sequel." Like, no shit.
I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, I enjoyed it, but it was just kind of like, yeah. Especially when you've got so many other movies set in that universe in theory, and they're just all so much better. But it was fun, yeah. I like some of it where he just like bites that guy's head off.
Yeah, that was like the whole idea that the symbiote has to live off the humans' like resources, and so the human needs to eat a lot to sustain the symbiote, and that's why
that wasn't a thing, was it?
No, that's never been a thing.
No, I didn't think so.
And but then again, they never ever. They've never in the comics.
Then there was that weird makeout scene that was creepy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then, in the comics, there's never any like reference. Like you mentioned it, like when Venom comes out of Brock is like huge.
Yeah.
And Brock is a big man. You know, he's always described as, you know, Olympic level athlete. You know, so he's a big dude, but he's not like 8 feet tall. So they never explain why the mass of of the venom or any of the symbiotes is increased so much like that. Actually, in one of the comics, they gave Venom a serum to make him smaller so he could pass as Spider-Man, like to shrink him down so he wasn't so massive, so he could pass as a fake
Yeah.
Spider-Man. And like, so yeah, they never fucking explain that in the comics. So the fact that the symbiote wants to eat a bunch of bad guys, fucking fine with me. That actually makes more sense than anything
Yeah.
they've done
I'm
before.
hungry. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and it's yeah. He's like yeah. It's not bad. No,
I
I mean it wasn't great, but it was enjoyable, I guess.
mean, I could even live without the white symbol on his chest if he just shoots some webs at some point and be like, I learned how to do
Yeah.
this the other day. Like, all right, whatever. I saw Mortal Engines the other day, and that is going to flop real hard.
Everything I've seen for it and everything, I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was out. And then you were like, yeah, I saw it, it's not that good. And I was like, holy shit, when did that come out? Nobody cares.
Yeah, no. I was like me and 4 other people in the movie theater. Like we were just gonna go out to dinner, and Rachel's like, I want to go see this movie. I was like, all right, well I can go see a movie too then. Like I'll go see this one. And yeah, like I was like intrigued by the whole thing because actually it reminded me a lot of a really good book that I read a couple years ago called Strength of Stones, and it's by Greg Bear, and it's about, you know, way in the future we have these huge mobile cities that will move from place to place when they need resources. So when the city has tapped the resources of a surrounding area, it will just disassemble itself and then walk to a new place. Like, you know, the skyscraper will literally just fall on its side, and before it hits the ground, like little legs will pop out and catch it, and it'll just walk off. And then wherever the city decides it's got enough, you know, water and, you know, whatever, it puts itself back together. And at some point in, you know, the distant future, it decided that it just didn't need people and just booted them all out. So you got all this, yeah. So you got all these people living in, you know, these nomadic existences around these giant cities that are just moving around from place to place where they fucking feel like it. And so like the people are trying to like snag small pieces of the city and cannibal. You know, it's like, it was a really interesting book. So I see this movie, I'm like, oh, I'll be kind of like that, you know. And the whole like track down a city and like eat it for the you know the resources of the bigger city. That happened absolutely fucking once, like once. And the rest of the movie was like all this like fucking teenage drama. I'm in love with you, but are you in love with me? Shit.
Yeah. Well, and then again, I just love the concept of there's no resources, so we're going to turn our cities into giant
Oh,
resource-hungry moving monstrosities. Like that doesn't make any sense
no,
at
no,
all, but it
no.
looks cool.
Oh yeah, like just the visual of London, and it never you never saw any other. They called them predator cities because they were the big ones that would eat the little ones, and the whole society was called Traction Society because they all had I don't know, fucking tractor societies, and the political system they based this off was called municipal Darwinism. And like they said that phrase like 3 times in the movie before I fucking caught on what the hell they were talking about. Like, oh, you mean cities? Oh, okay. And yeah, it was like super dumb. And like there was like in the very beginning, like the sequence where you see the big like London, like just the visual of it lumbering across the countryside is cool. Like it's cool. But like it came across these like 4 or 5 little cities together, like, you know, just hanging out. And so when they see London, they're all like, "Holy shit, Predator City!" And like they all fire up their engines, right? And it's these like they're like basically all 5 of them just roll coal. It's like brrr, you know, all this like black smoke comes out, and I'm like, that is not efficient. Nothing about this is efficient.
Yeah.
Like, like motherfuckers are rolling coal over here to save resources. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very anime.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the idea behind it's very, yeah. It looks, it's really silly. I don't know. That's one of those ones I'm gonna have to check out when it's on video or something.
Yeah, you totally. I had a free pass for you know, our movie my movie membership. So
I'll see anything. It's free.
yeah, but yeah, it was like I walked out of there and I was like, why the hell did they make that movie? But then I thought like the books that are based on are targeted at like, you know, preteens and or, you know, young teens, and like it's the same like target audience for Harry Potter and
Yep.
the Maze Runner and all that horse shit. So, Twilight, of course, they're just gonna turn that crank. But yeah, so it's gonna. Like, I read an article today that said that movie's gonna lose about $100 million, and I am not surprised whatsoever. But
No one's no, like when you ask people, like I've tried to talk to people about it, and they're like, "I've never heard of it." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well."
yeah, I think it got a lot of traction as far as like previews, pun intended, because uh, Benicio del Toro is attached to it, and
Peter Jackson
Peter Jackson
or
or
somebody
something. Yeah,
else. I can't remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why people are like, "Oh, this might be cool," because like Peter Jackson's involved, and like, it was not. Like,
Well,
I
but
want to
it's one of
see.
those things where it's like he presents. He didn't make it.
Right. Well, he wasn't the director, and he was one of the
No.
producers, and so like, you kind of want to know like when you've got these guys that are known for producing like amazing cinema, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to know like how many meetings did they sit in on, right? Like, did Peter Jackson like skip a couple, and then like when they were past the point of no return, he sat in a meeting. He's like, "Well, wait, what? We're doing what with
Yeah.
we're doing what with London? Like,
Huh?
yeah,
Yeah. All right.
did I
Yeah.
miss?
No. Yeah. Oh, it's where they pay Peter Jackson a bunch of money to say he
Oh yeah.
helped produce it, and he's like, "All right, cool. Here, I'll take my $1 million, please. You do whatever the hell you want."
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of another like really shitty movie that I watched and I really shouldn't have, and I knew better. Did you ever see John Carpenter's Vampires? It's like 1998 with
Yeah.
James Wood. I don't know
Yeah.
why that movie stuck in my head the other day. So I was like, man, I haven't seen that in forever. So I downloaded it and I watched it like half at the gym and half when I got home. And I really should have watched it at all when I got home because that movie needed some liquor. Seriously, that is a dumb fucking movie. Because
Yeah.
because first of all, when the premise of your movie is that James Wood in his skinny jeans and a leather jacket is the badass, you're just up shit creek without a paddle. Like, 'cause he
Yeah.
weighs about 120 pounds, soaking wet, and he's like, "Let's kill all these vampires." So I'm like, whatever. Yeah, this is not gonna go. This is not a good movie.
Yeah. I'm just looking at like screens from it, and yeah, that movie is that. Yeah, that is so funny. I remember that. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Well, and it's 98, so like
Yeah.
all of the tech in it, like they're supposed to have these futuristic crossbows and these futuristic like lances to stab the vampires with lights on them, and
Yeah.
the lights on them are about the size of a a Ford Taurus headlight.
Yeah. I'm looking at that now. Yeah. No, it's very
Like,
very late '90s. Yeah.
what would
That's wow.
what
Yeah,
would
man.
be
I may have to go back and watch that. I
oh,
just because I haven't seen. Now you mention it.
get all liquored up, buddy.
Yep.
It's rough. I mean,
I bet.
one of the bald ones is in it. I don't even know which bald one. I
Yeah, but it's John Carpenter, so
Yeah. Well, that's what I guess it hoodwinks you because it's John Carpenter's Vampires, and he's got such a good track record for like some good horror movies, and then
Yeah.
you just get hit right in the face with that nonsense. You're like, ow, it's not good. Um, and what else we got? I haven't watched it yet, but we got the new was it Elseworlds crossover with all of our
Yes.
CW
Yes.
funnies.
Yes.
I haven't seen any of it.
It's pretty good. Without spoiling it, the only two real things.
So you don't really have to worry about spoiling it because there's really
Yeah,
not that much story.
No, it's really not. The only two things it really does is introduce Batwoman,
Yeah.
and she's pretty great. And was it Molly Kane or whatever? No, I can't. Well, it's his cousin. I can't remember. It's not Barbara Gordon. It's the other one.
Okay.
And then they literally introducing the is it the Watcher or they're setting up Crisis on Infinite Earths is what they're doing. Like, well, even down to half through, they got the red lightning and shit, and that's and then at the end of the 3-parter, it's like 2019 Crisis on Infinite Earths. I'm like, all right, cool.
That's I have read most of those comics. That is honestly pretty that's pretty I don't know what word I'm looking for, like that I wouldn't expect them to reach for that. That's a big story for them to try to do. That's pretty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a big story, but I mean, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Justin, they're probably just looking for an excuse to collapse some dimensions and
Oh
stifle all
yeah.
this portal hopping
Oh yeah.
bullshit from her,
Yeah.
right? Like if you could collapse it and throw Supergirl to be on the same Earth as the other people, it'd be
Yeah.
fine by me. Um, but yeah, I don't. That is a big one. Yeah, I haven't read it since I was a kid. I don't remember
Yeah.
the details, but I remember it was a big one. Because
Well,
wasn't that
it's
one of the rebirth events? It was like everything
yeah.
was different after that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one where they collapsed like God knows how many thousands of universes into Earth 16 was the only one, and then of course
Yeah.
they spin more out as they go along. But you get to a point where like when you have to have a fucking dry erase board in the writing room to figure out what Earth you're on, and it's just and it's a and then you end up with more than one dry
Yeah.
erase board. It was pretty dumb. The only thing that I really thought was great. I mean, DC's bad about this. DC's bad about we're going to create a super big problem.
Oh, while I'm thinking about it though, very cool. They did have the dude from the '90s Flash TV show
Oh
as the
yeah,
Flash
yeah.
from Another Earth, which was hilarious. Anyway, go ahead. That show was
Yeah,
not good.
yeah, I remember that. That was not good too. But then again, we didn't know how shitty that was. I mean, back then
Yeah.
we had those like superhero movies like The Mantis and like there was one
Oh,
called
I remember that show.
yeah
Yeah, the Mantis and fucking
Dark like Nightman.
Scorpion, and yeah, there are a whole bunch of them. Darkman was movies. Yeah,
No, Darkman was a
that was
movie, but there was Nightman.
Nightman. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I remember the Mantis.
yeah. But yeah, those were all pretty dumb. Like the Crisis on Infinite Earth was one of the problems with DC that they always had because DC has this thing where they're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna create a baddie like the Anti Monitor or some huge problem that spans across 100 different universes, and the way we'll fix it is to pull a Superman out of 1,000 different universes. So we have 1,000 Supermen, and we're gonna kick 1,000 asses and
Yeah.
it's just that. But Crisis, I always liked Crisis on Infinite Earths because it did end with a really cool the problem of Superboy Prime, who is one of the better villains that's ever come out of any of that.
I don't remember.
So at the end of like Crisis on Infinite Earths, Superboy Prime, Superman, they call he's just the original whatever, and Lois are in this little pocket dimension that like they stayed in to save the rest of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Superboy kind of goes fucking shit nuts and literally punches his way out of the pocket dimension and goes on just a tirade, kicking and killing everybody's ass he could get to, and he built himself a suit of armor that basically just bathes his body in yellow sun energy at all times. So he's just whipping everybody's ass, and it took the Superman from that pocket dimension, and then our young, more powerful Superman took them both to beat him down, and they were like beating his ass through the center of suns. It was amazing. It was fun, and they ended up kicking his ass. And when it was left over, he was held in the center of a red sun, surrounded by like 64 Green Lanterns at all times. Like
That's
he's
cool.
he's in this green energy cell of the Green Lanterns, and there's like 64 Green Lanterns around him at any given instant, and he's inside of a red sun, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, he's always been a good villain, but you're right, it just gets silly, and they just spin it out way too much. They'll just collapse that shit on itself and be like, hey, look, we're gonna call this fucking DC Omega, and we're running with that for a month and a half or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll be interested to see because this one was this 3-part. This was also it crossed over less of the shows than last year's, I think too.
Yeah, I think it was just the Arrow, Flash, and
Supergirl was it? Yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing that was on my radar, I haven't gotten. Did you get to go see Into the Spider-Verse yet?
I saw that shit today, and it was incredible.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of really good stuff.
So good. It is very, very good.
Yeah.
Go see that in theaters. It's very good.
Yeah, I'll go. Oh yeah, that's kind of one of those things where I'm kind of like I couldn't go see. I think we talked about this. I couldn't go see Black Panther the weekend it came out, but I bought 2 tickets at 8 a.m. just so they had my money.
Yeah, no, Into the Spider-Verse is very, very good. The animation's really cool. Everything about it's great.
And we talked about like we need to do more of those because you can do these movies so stylized, and you can
Yeah, no, it is exactly like start fucking doing the weird spin-offs is animated movies that you just get like random voice talent for, like fucking Spider-Man. Noir Spider-Man is voiced by Nicolas Cage, and it's
right.
fucking amazing. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's just
like
it's smart, it's funny. It's mine now. I think it's the best Spider-Man movies. It's like this and then Homecoming are my two favorites.
yeah, that was Homecoming was good too. Yeah, that came
Yeah,
out of nowhere. Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
that
Yeah,
was sweet.
you're never gonna get unless unless you make him play. The only thing that he could do better at if he's gonna play Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond, then
Yep, I can do that.
yeah. But and then I think everything I've seen about this Into the Spider Verse, in just you just said it. It was smart. It was well done. Like you don't have to treat these moviegoers that want to go see these movies like they're morons.
No, it was really good. The art style's really good too. I love the entire ending sequence is just honestly, it's just psychedelic because it's this huge fight between Spider-Man and the Kingpin while dimensional barriers are breaking down, and it's just really it's fucking good, man. It's really good. I was not expecting it to be that good.
Oh, that's good. I'll have to check it out on
Yeah.
Saturday or something. Um, we're gonna stay here in Illinois for Christmas, so I'm gonna have a lot of time, a lot of days to piss away. Um, yeah, that'll be a smash. That's looking good. Apparently the buzz for Aquaman's really good, even though like
Hmm.
the first trailers made it look like the most psychedelic pastel like blender
Yeah.
of nonsense. Like it was just a lot of weird stuff. Like yeah, you're gonna ride a shark in a battle, and I'm gonna be very excited to see that, but I don't know where that's gonna go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see where that one falls when it comes out. I could go either way on that one.
Apparently, it's already made like $150 million in Japan or China. I'm sorry.
Oh, or China, yeah, it's already made its money. No, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, they're fine. Yeah. All right. So fun stuff. We're nerds. We usually watch that shit. Um, hey, did before we move on, have you watched any of this Night Flyers?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty solid show. It's actually based on it's based off a George R. Martin like novella from the '80s. It's really good. It's actually cool. Like I'm sure you can find an EPUB of it somewhere, but it's actually I read it. It's a really good little sci-fi story. Pretty self-contained. These explorers want to find they're pretty sure they're tracking an extraterrestrial like passing near our solar system, and so they find a ship that can get them there fast enough to like intersect this I think they called it the Volcrum or something weird. And on the way out there, the ship's trying to murder him, and they don't know why. And you have to figure out why the ship's trying to murder him. But it's pretty cool. But yeah, the show's solid. It's a pretty good representation. There's like a really really bad version of it. It's a movie like from like 1987 or something. It's fucking phenomenal. You gotta like, yeah,
Oh, I bet.
like the entire movie's on YouTube, and if you just click through it, you're like, holy shit! Everybody's on coke.
87,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's so
Oh
bad.
wow. I'm pulling it up now, dude. Yeah. Oh, this looks great.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that the old school version of the Tommy Knockers that was on like fucking TBS or whatever.
Oh, the TV Tommy Knockers. Yeah, I remember that. I remember really liking that as a kid.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Rachel and I were talking
Yeah.
about, like Rachel and I have both read. You've read that book, right? You've read Tommy Knockers?
No, I've not read it.
Yeah, Rachel and I both read it, and there's a part where they turn a beagle into a battery because that's
Yeah.
like the thing, and it's part in the show too, and it's just absolutely grueling. And they're gonna reboot that movie. And Rachel and I was like, yeah, that'd be another. I told Rachel, I was like, that'd be another one I'd like to see. And she's like, you want to see Pete turn? I was like, no, we could skip right the fuck over that. I mean,
Yeah.
fuck. I was like, fuck, let's take it up a notch. Let's just turn an infant into a battery because I'm way okay with that.
Yeah, not the dog. Dude, Stephen King is fucking killing dogs in his
Oh,
books. Fucking kills me. What is it? Is it Needful Things where the dude like corkscrews a
yeah.
dog to the floor? It's like, oh god.
There's like so well, and then like there's the Under the Dome. Like he kills like 2 or 3
Yeah.
dogs in that one.
Yeah.
It's so fucking like he has a corgi now, and we're hope that he hasn't written anything that I know of since then that has killed a dog.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, yeah. So
But that doesn't mean it's not a thing.
no. I would say I'd go kick his ass, but I think one good kick in the ass would kill him at this point because he did a lot of
Oh yeah.
coke. He did a lot of coke back in the day, and he was
Who's Stephen King's looking?
yeah,
He's a frail looking dude. Yeah.
and he was literally hit by a
Yeah. He's
van.
just held together, just barely.
All right, so the news. There has been some of it this week. Not much of it good for Donald Trump.
No.
It has, and we need to talk. Like there was a smile in your voice when you said that you wanted to see the Trump kids go to jail, and
Mm-hmm.
we're getting ever so close. So, on our outline that we rarely pay attention to, this section is called "Trump is a Felon" by Judge Napolitano, and
Yeah, that was good.
there's like this long fucking clip of him on Fox and Friends where he's like, "Well, we know Donald Trump's a felon now," and the guys on Fox and Friends just basically shit their pants and try to like talk him out of saying that. But the reason Judge Napolitano said it, and I can't believe I've said his name like 3 times now without fucking it up. So on Wednesday, Trump's longtime lawyer and fixer was sentenced to 3 years for crimes that included arranging 2 payments of over $100,000 to 2 women that Trump has scrogged out of wedlock.
Yup.
And the campaign paid them this money to shut them up right before the election. That is a campaign finance violation, and because those payments were put through the Trump Foundation, I'm sorry, the Trump Organization, not the Foundation. I think they shut that down already. The Trump Organization, the CFO of that, who is already cooperating with Mueller, and the kids, like they haven't released. Like I'm sure Mueller knows, and I'm sure people know, but they haven't released which kid. It's got to be Don Jr. Like facilitated that
Yeah.
because Michael Cohen was coordinating with the money man, the I don't know his name, but he's the CFO of the Trump Organization. He's already coordinating. I can Google his name. It's not a big deal. He's like 1,000 years old. But yeah, like they all coordinated the payments, and they did so to hide them from the federal regulations, and that's the point. Like you've heard a lot of shit. I don't know if you heard the Shay that like Barack Obama did the exact same thing. Have you heard that?
Yes, I'm sure I have, but I know there's actually a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. Well, like campaign finance reform is a thing we need
Yeah.
because this is just a sticky wicket no matter where you go at it.
It is really. It sounds silly, but it is difficult to not accidentally commit campaign finance fraud. Like it's real shitty. And like it would be different if it were like, I mean, it's just everything about it is shady as it get in terms of the way Trump's family and organization handled it.
Well, I kind of took a lot of umbrage. They're like, well, Obama did the exact same thing.
Yeah, no.
Hold on, Obama. There's absolutely no evidence that Obama has paid anybody to shut up about him banging them while he was married to
Yes,
Michelle
it's
Obama.
very different.
Yeah, but there is like if you get into the really crazier sides of the right wing news, talk radio, whatnot that I love to swim around in, like World Net Daily, like they were convinced when Barack Obama was running for president that he was gay, that Michelle Obama is actually a man, and that he had been married to a man before it and had that guy killed. So like, you can
I had heard.
Yeah, you can go down that rabbit hole if you would like to, but the fact that but just saying that Barack Obama did the same thing is not true.
Yeah, no.
There were, I think, the 2008 Barack Obama campaign paid out like $3 million in FCC fines or campaign finance fines. It wouldn't be FCC. That's like radio.
Yeah. I don't know fucking whoever's in charge of that.
Yeah, those guys. But they paid out $3 million because like they were doing things like if you and I had donated more than we were allowed to by federal law. This is of course pre Citizens United. That's illegal, and the Obama campaign would be responsible to turn the extra money back to us. But if they didn't catch that mistake, didn't catch our mistake and return our money in a timely manner, then they would be fined for it. And so they did. They were busted with a bunch of those little fines like that. So they had to pay like $3 million. And like Fucking Sean Hannity loves to bring that up. He's like, you know who paid the largest fine ever for campaign finance violations? Barack Obama. Well,
Yeah.
Shay, do you know who paid the second largest fine?
I don't know.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole.
Yeah.
Bob
Yeah,
Dole.
just,
There's a name I've not heard in a while.
right. It's like the most random fucking factoid ever that Bob Dole had like the second highest one for many of the same reasons. But the difference being is that Donald Trump legitimately did this to hide it from federal regulators, to hide it from the press, to hide it from voters. But I don't know. Like there's so many sides to this. Like the simplest story in my head is that the Trumps, the whole family, didn't really want to win the election. They just wanted to use it to like get a better image.
That's one of the things I've heard that just I still think that's true. I still think that they didn't think they were gonna win, and then they did, and they're like, "Fuck."
Well, then I have a very pointed question for you. If they didn't want to win, why do this?
So you can. It's good for the Trump brand. If you got him.
No. Hold on. I understand to run, but then why pay off these two women, and put yourself in this type of jeopardy if you didn't want to win anyway?
Oh, because when it if it starts to look like early on, I don't think they thought they had a chance, and then when it started looking like they might have a chance, they had to take care of it. I mean,
okay.
And it's also different, like because that's also saying I ran for the presidency and didn't win because of the deep state or whatever is good for the Trump brand. Having a bunch of ladies come out and talk about this before the that's bad. Like I think it's all just because it's bad. It just looks bad. That's why they would do it.
That makes more sense to me. And
yeah,
I kind of agree with you there.
Either way, it's not something you want people rattling around because it's bad for the Trump brand.
Like that would have been a really good way of maybe shaving off some of the points you're going to get.
Yeah.
On Clinton to be like, hey, I really don't want to win this thing.
Fuck.
I really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
If these two ladies that I boffed come out and talk about my weird doink for a while, maybe I'll lose by 12 instead of 8, and it would just put this thing away.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Also, but also, you don't want women talking about your weird doink.
Nope.
Because that's not a Trump branding thing.
No, that's an ego thing.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I don't know. I go back and forth, but the idea that they never wanted to win and they were just going through the motions and did this makes the most sense to me, because they didn't have anybody in place to like actually fucking govern after the fact.
No.
But yeah. So that happened on Wednesday. So that basically directly implicated Donald Trump in the commission of at least 2 felonies. The documents that the Department of Justice, the DOJ, we're not some fucking pundit from MSNBC, have the way the documents read is that he directed and was involved in these two hush payments, these two hush puppies. And so we're now presented with the really unique situation, Jay, in that if Donald Trump was not the president, he would have been indicted along with Michael Cohen. The only reason he is not indicted is because he is the president.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and so
that's the only reason.
That's the only fucking reason.
Yeah, exactly, because they just can't really do it that way.
And that's the thing. It's like there's this big question mark about whether or not you can indict a sitting president. And there's a lot of legal scholars that say you, of course, can, because if Donald Trump were to, do what he said, like remember when he said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose any support? If he were to do that tomorrow, like some of my most conservative friends would say, like, well, you can't indict him. I was like, so you're saying that we would just stand by and watch it, let him shoot citizens on Fifth Avenue? Like, no.
He would be
tackled and he would be taken into custody.
I also don't like the idea of saying you can't indict a sitting president, because then that incentivizes people doing illegal things, because they know once they're the president, they can't get caught. They can't get nailed for it. Like, I understand the logic of you want to protect a sitting president from indictments, because then that just becomes a fucking political tool. Like, it's easier. It's a lot easier to just say, yo, while he's in office, he can't be indicted. Cool your jets. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But there should be
You got to
certain
go
things.
through the Congress.
Yeah.
You got to go through the
Yeah.
Congress. You got
Gotta
to
go through. I get it. I get it. Like, and I don't disagree with that. But to say like the it's that language that like makes me so mad. There is no law. There is nowhere in the Constitution that says you can't indict the president. It is a guideline from the Department of Justice, which is basically designed to say like it's going to be a lot easier if you just don't fucking do it.
Well,
like,
and also,
come on, guys. Like, let's wait till like, it's just going to be a huge pain in the ass. Man, if you like, come on,
yeah. You got a great point there. The Department of Justice going like, hey guys, come on. Yeah, but it was also that directive was also written by a Nixon supporter back when he was getting ready to get his shit fucked, and so like there's a big asterisk on that Department of Justice memo.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah, but we can, you can go into that loop about whether or not he can pardon himself or not.
Yeah, and I think some of the arguments people will make for why you shouldn't do it are separate from what the guideline, like why that guy, like like I can see both sides on that one because it would just become a political thing. But
and it would become it would be a political tool with a lot of teeth because if you can't exact your revenge on a president, whether it be a Democrat or Republican, because you feel like you've had your pumas scuffed for some reason, but you feel like you could mount some type of judicial complaint, and like take him down for fucking some kind of zoning violation. Maybe he's been blowing his grass clippings on your yard or something like some bullshit like that. It would just be a hellscape that nobody would escape from. But one of the funniest factoids I heard today on the radio is that the statute of limitations for these felonies runs out in 2021. So, like, Donald Trump getting reelected is literally one of the only things that might keep him from being indicted for these things after the fact.
That's funny.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's right. I'd read that. That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Not to say that the minute he loses the election and steps down from office and January 20 of it actually would be really fucking close because it would depend on like I guess it'd work because what are we're in September now, like what the fuck, it's December, shit. We're recording this on December what is today, 16th, and but yeah, so like when he would step down January 21st of 2021. Yeah, I'm not saying that the DOJ would be standing right there to put him in cuffs, but they might just be like, "Yeah, fuck it." Your whole life's in shambles anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me so mad. Yeah. He's probably gonna be. He's realistically, he's probably gonna be fine.
Yeah. Oh,
that's why I want to see his kids get fucking raked over the coals. That's more likely.
And that's one of the things. That's one of the things that's the other thing that happened on Wednesday was AMI, which is the parent company of the National Enquirer. They struck a participation deal or cooperation deal to not be prosecuted by the Department of Justice because they have admitted to helping facilitate these payments. Like they had the whole catch and kill thing going with Donald Trump, where they saw a story that made him look like the schmuck he is. They would find out the source, go to them, buy it for whatever money it took to buy it, and then just sit on it. So they the story is that they've got this vault, a whole safe full of shit on Donald Trump that they're just sitting on because he and David Pecker, the CEO, were really good friends. Are really good friends. I don't think there's been a falling out or anything.
Yeah.
But AMI is cooperating.
My understanding with the thing with AMI is that he literally they just they're just got their balls to the wall. They're like, oh well, it's here's all the stuff, guys. All right. Here you go. Now, like they're just getting pinched, which is fine.
Yeah, it's what happens when you fucking break the law. Like I have
dude, I'm not worried about it. Yeah,
I have no fucking sympathy for these people. So speaking of Trump's kids, like we talked about this before, like the payment to Stormy Daniels and this other woman, which I mean, the fact that he put his little mushroomy doink in either of them still baffles me. Like I've never understood why women want to bang. I never understood why women want to bang a man that only has power and money and has this little mushroom doink, little toadstool doink.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
I mean,
that
Stormy
I
Daniels has come out and said she was angling for a spot on The Apprentice.
yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense. I've seen that one. I mean, I mean, I don't know. That's a slippery slope, Justin. I'm not gonna get into why some women may do the things they do with men.
Yeah.
It's
Are
how
those
about them Broncos?
are those questions that we don't want answered?
Those are questions we don't want to answer, Justin.
All right.
I'll tell you, how about in fact we talk about the fact that was it the fucking Browns beat the Broncos?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How the
Yeah.
mighty have fallen. How
Yeah.
about them Broncos, dude?
How about we just don't ask questions about why women have sex with us?
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, so that happened, and since the payment went through the Trump organization, as we talked about before, their CFO was involved, and they wrote it up. They wrote it up as some different legal um, uh, billing, like there was with Michael Cohen. So they wrote it
Yeah.
up as some kind of a different legal issue. They were paying him because he was their lawyer for something else. So that's just fucking fraud. That's straight up fraud. Like it's
Yeah.
also tax fraud, but it's also money laundering. So like that's a thing that is going to come down on the Trump organization, and that is now run by the kids. So I think you might get your wish. Like it's either going to be Don or Eric. I doubt that they're gonna sling any mud at Ivanka for this because she's been more on the outskirts of that.
Yeah. I don't really give it to she doesn't bother me as much as the other ones do. I
Oh,
don't
she
really give
bothers the
that.
shit
Yeah.
out of me because she she
Ah,
she was elect she was not elected for anything, and like
well, yeah.
whenever Donald Trump wants to go take a piss, like she plops her ass down at some summit. Like what the fuck? Like can you
Yeah.
imagine? Can you imagine how much fucking hell would have been raised if Bill Clinton was like, "No, I'm gonna go get lunch. Chelsea, why don't you handle this for me?" I mean, she was 13 at
Yeah.
the time, but
I mean, I get it, but
yeah,
I just mean on a personal level, like she just doesn't irk me as much as fucking Kushner and his sons do.
yes, yes, I agree.
There's
Kush,
just like there's just like even just like fucking like Don Jr.'s just smug ass face
did
is
did
harder to look at. Yeah.
did you ever listen to those podcasts I shot you with the Chapo's
No.
the Chapo
No,
strap
no, I
Chapo's?
haven't. I know what you're talking about though.
So, but yeah, but they basically just spend about 40 minutes just absolutely railing on those two because the Fox Nation um, has these like 40-minute long, I'm sure it's an hour long special on the Trump family, and they just pick Trump members they're like to do an hour long special on. And they were like beside themselves, like, and you know who you start with? You start with the cream of the crop, the top of the family, the guy that has a basically human face, Eric Trump.
Yeah,
And they just discuss
they're
how,
all just fucks.
and he just discussed that, like, and one of the guys on the trap house was like basically just kind of broke down into a screaming fit, going like, we're fucking told that this guy is some kind of boardroom wizard. His entire fucking resume is works for dad. And it's like,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, yeah. No, there's nothing about him. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole fucking family. That's
Yeah. Well, Jared Kushner is even in a different ballpark because his entire resume is worked for dad,
yeah.
went to Harvard because dad bought a building, and then took over the family company when dad went to prison for fraud. Like it,
Nice.
it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't like he shot up the family business, hierarchy because he was a fucking super smart go getter. No, there was a power vacuum at the top because his dad went to jail for a couple years for tax evasion and fraud. There's no
Awesome.
fucking ifs, ands, or bits about it. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
all this fucks. Again, it's the Trump family and everyone in their orbit is just shit.
yeah. Speaking of just shit, moving along down our conveyor belt of
Yep.
fart noises.
Yup.
See, that's production. That's production value right there. You
High
guys aren't even
quality.
paying for it.
Nope.
Uh, Russian agent and NRA uh, girlfriend. I don't know what the fuck you'd call her. pled guilty to conspiracy to cooperate with the GOP influencers and the
What
NRA
was
on behalf
shit? What was her name again?
Maria Butina.
That's right.
So she is a Russian person of interest, a Russian national. She had been making these connections to the gun rights lobbyists, mainly the NRA, but any kind of gun
Yeah.
right thing. So she was they had this group that they said was a Second Amendment group in Russia, which is an oxymoron because they don't have a Second Amendment. You have no right to a firearm in
Yeah.
Russia.
No, not whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah, no way fucking Putin would allow that. And so they started this group, and she kept coming over here and meeting with all these influencers. And you can Google, like, there's pictures of her with Rick Santorum and the Trump
Yeah,
kids.
that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Santorum, the Trump kids, Wayne LaPierre, like everybody, heavy hitters at the NRA and GOP influencers. Like, I don't know if too many people that are actually in office that she sat with. I think there's some pictures of her with, like, Lindsey Graham. But, like, she would
Yeah.
go to these meetings and she just kept trying to make connections and create these back channels between the Russian government and, people in conservative, gun rights, GOP, gun rights advocates and all this stuff. And she pled guilty to several counts and is going to cooperate. So she's the first actual honest to God fucking Russian agent we flipped on this. She was apparently banging some really ugly dude named Paul Erickson. Google that, Shay. That'll make your day.
Oh wait. Oh wow, yeah, he kind of looks like George Costanza.
Right, like, so
Yeah,
she
no,
was
he's not.
she apparently, and the funny thing about this was that she was accused of trading sex for political favors and for access, and it was never really showed that she did that, but they leaned really hard on the idea that she was just dating this really, like, pudgy white Republican activist named Paul Erickson. Like, she was just dating him, and she's like in her late 20s or whatever. She's she can take a good picture. I'm not saying that every picture on her on the internet is gold, but she can be, she can take a good picture and way the fuck out of Erickson's league, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And but they leaned really hard on the idea that she was trading, like, access for sex, and they could never prove that. But then she and Erickson, like, really crowed way too loud about how awesome their relationship was, and everybody's like, just not buying it. Like, if you see the two of them together, like, no.
yeah. No. What's going? No. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to say, like, you never say she's out of your league because leagues aren't a thing, but leagues are totally a thing, bro. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you see her, and then you see a picture of him, and you're like, dude, you're getting fucked.
There's a couple of pictures that come up that are very clearly like they're trying a little too hard to prove they're together. Yeah. Like with, like, sparklers and shit. Yeah. It's good stuff.
I kind of have to, like, you kind of, my heart of hearts, just because I'm a cynical prick. Like, I want to hear the conversation where he's like, all right, I'll go along with this, but we have to have sex once a week.
Yeah. I'd love to see the legal framework on that.
And she's like,
yeah,
twice a month. And
twice
like,
a month. It's fine.
Yeah.
And they're going back and forth. Yeah.
Just back and forth.
Like, positions.
Yeah.
It's all right. No kissing on the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally Pretty Woman situation.
Yeah.
But who knows? I don't know. But that's all gone right down the shitter. And the funny thing about that was Donald Trump got paid $30 million by the NRA in the 2016 election cycle.
Yep.
That's not, like, crazy money for them.
No.
It's not crazy money for them, but it was double what they paid Romney, or gave Romney. And Donald Trump's not necessarily, like, more Second Amendment than any other Republican candidate. So that double and bump kind of came out of nowhere. And they also were very careful. They paid that money out of different accounts that they don't have to report from. So they basically paid it out of petty cash. So that's also, like you said, a big question. Like, that big sound. That's basically what's going on here.
Everybody's and then that's where, like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
And the funny, and another, I mean, just kind of going down this rabbit hole because I listen to all this shit. Like, the NRA is shit up shit creek without a paddle as far as funds go. I don't know if you've heard about these guys on NRA TV. that have gotten the boot lately?
No, I have not. I trust you to keep me abreast of all the crazy. I don't have time in my day to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, so like the big one that just got the boot was a guy named Dan Bongino. He's an ex
Yeah.
Secret Service agent. He's written a book. He wrote a book about how shitty the Clintons were to Secret Service agents. That was supposed to be his claim to fame, and he's apparently coming out with another book pretty recently. He's going to be fuck everywhere lately, or in the next couple months, for this book. But it's about how Trump was set up by Mueller, and it's all a deep state ploy. It's a bunch of
Yeah. How that ties into the whole QAnon.
right,
And
right. Like
they're all working together.
they're
And
gonna
yeah.
he's gonna dry hump this to no end. But so he'll be
Yeah.
popping around. But he just got shit canned at NRA TV, and
What
they
for?
just he wasn't bringing any
Just
money.
okay.
Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say
like,
yeah. Just
like they don't have money.
he didn't say
wasn't
anything
making
extra. Like
No.
what did he say that was too racist for
Yeah,
NRA
right,
TV?
right,
That was
yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's a high water mark I don't want to know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and as you get farther into this shit, like you find out that like NRA TV is really like just the mouthpiece and like because like this Dana Lash, who's like a very attractive dark haired woman who talks about freedom and smashing, yeah, owning the libs and always having your freedom of speech. Like she's very effective, but she is hardly ever heard anywhere except on NRA TV.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like us. Like you and I are.
Oh
heard,
yeah, I know this lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen.
Like
Yeah.
you and I are heard very often on the Woodscast, but very
Yeah.
rarely are we asked to be on MSNBC and spout our same nonsense,
No.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's basically where they're coming from. Like they created NRA TV and they just shout into the void there. Problem is, there's a lot of the fucking wingnuts that want to listen to that particularly. But yeah, but this $30 million that they were given was given in the same campaign cycle where they I think lost like $130 million worth of donation revenue. Like, yeah, I mean NRA like they've stopped giving free coffee at the NRA offices. Like that's how shitty things have gotten.
What is there? I mean, I mean, obviously they don't get their money from fucking dues. It's just gun. Like where
No,
does
actually,
their
it's about 50-50. Well, first of all, they will not, of course, release that.
They won't
list.
say, yeah, I know,
Yeah, okay.
but that's why I asked the question. Is like, so what? Because like, yeah, okay.
The best estimate is that the NRA has long said it has a $350 million war chest.
Yeah.
And that could very well be true still, even now.
Yeah.
But they boast that they have they boast the number of 5 million to 10 million. Excuse me, members. So if you have 5 million members at the nominal monthly rate at $30 a month, then that makes up $150 million. And they've admitted to about $100 and some million worth of just gun manufacturer lobby money. So that makes that kind of fills in the blanks there. They like to say that they're on their way to 10 million members, but here at the Woodscast we have about a couple dozen listeners a week. So technically we are on our way to 10 million listeners as well. So
that is true. That is true. Yes.
You can
that's how numbers work.
Yeah, that's the sliding scale that you can always say.
Yeah, dude. If you get one jackass a month to join, you're technically on your way.
Technically on your way. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. But like the fact that
I always hated that we're on our way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like an asshole.
Well, it's like, I mean, statistics like that are hilarious. Like every president since the dawn of time has said something along the lines of, "More people bought homes during my administration than ever before." And that's because there were more people in America than ever before. Fuck nut. Like that's how
Yeah, that's
I mean,
that's
come
how
on.
growth works. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how us humping each other into existence works. Come on now. Come on. I mean, I hate to be a cynical prick, but that's how we went from like 1 billion people on the planet to 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah, dude. That's one. I get so mad because here in Colorado, it's a big thing. You'll see it in the news a lot because of the growth rate of the state, where people start complaining about like, well, there's just so much traffic. I'm like, well, I mean, it's a good economy. That means there's more people. What do you can't have a good economy with more people. That's how that works. Like, it's going to take you longer to get home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, God.
Dipshits. Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite statistics they always throw around is like, whatever losing candidate's always like, or the winning, whatever winning candidate of the presidential election, they're almost always like, and so got more votes than anybody in the history of America. I was like, and you know who got the second most? The guy that lost, because there were more people in the United States. And at the end of this 4-year cycle, than the last
The
time.
last 4 years. So yeah.
Okay, fuck off, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as this whole Butina thing goes, I'm not surprised they were trying to do that because that's just how the Russians work.
Yeah.
I was just really surprised how the many people in the Republican base or influencers in the Republican Party and the NRA especially were just like, fuck it, let's play ball.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's. If I saw something that shady on the left, I would be all mad about that too. But it's just only one side that keeps doing this stuff to me.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's only one side that keeps talking to Russians and going, listen, we didn't talk to Russians. Well, we have a list of 16 people that said they didn't talk to Russians that we know that talked to Russians. Like, well, we might have talked to Russians.
Yeah, well, we might have talked to them.
Like, I was talking...
what's a Russian? Yeah. It depends on how you define
right.
Russian.
Well, I was talking to a buddy of mine on the Facey Spaces in my book the other night, and he was like, he's gotten much more conservative in recent years than I remember him being since the last time I saw him. And he was like, well, if Hillary Clinton would have done... I'm like, you know what? They didn't charge her for anything. Right now, there are so many charges against the Trump administration. It's not even fucking funny. He was like, well, you can turn anything to a crime. It's like, yes, when you lie to federal investigators, that is perjury. I have zero fucking, like talking to Russian nationals during a transition during the transition period of a presidency is not the fucking most outlandish thing in the world. Like,
no.
The conversation would literally go, hey, I know you want us to work on these sanctions. We kind of want to work on them too because we didn't put them there and we think they're kind of dumb. But just hold, put a pin in this. Give me like 4 weeks when we're in power and we can work on it.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't
lie
about that.
Yeah, don't lie about it. You remember when? Yeah, you remember when literally that happened to Obama?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he literally had a hot mic and was talking about how he'd have more wiggle room after the election, and then when it came out, he's like, "Yeah, that was me," because it's true. Like, if I'm still the president, I'll have more wiggle room.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, and they kept trying to throw that out as weeks ago, and they're like, "Nah, it's different. That's pretty different because they lied about it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they keep lying about it.
Yeah. I'd really do see that conversation going like, well, we've got all these people that say you did, and we know they talked to me. Well, how do you define Russian? They're like air quotes. Yeah. Fucking assholes.
Yeah. All right. And then the last thing that we want to talk about the insane corruption is, have you heard about this whole the Trump inaugural committee is being federally investigated now?
Yes.
This cracks me up because this made no sense from jump. I mean, Barack Obama's 2009 inaugural committee raised like $47 million. Let's round off to $50 million. Okay, raised $50 million, less than twice what the Trump administration's inauguration raised. They raised $107 million. From the word go, nobody knew what the Trump administration was spending this fucking money on, because like Barack Obama had Beyonce and Jay-Z at a concert, and they paid them $5 million. Trump had this concert with like 3 country music acts and like some guy I've never heard of, and they paid those guys $25 million. Like, all of these numbers just didn't make any sense, and like Rachel Maddow's been all over this because the second that the minute they released the number that they'd raised $107 million, Rachel Maddow was like, for fucking what? Like, what do you
Yeah.
spend it on? Like,
what are you doing with it?
Like, what the shit? Because like in not just political, like bipartisan or like partisan lenses, like just in, if you're just gonna look at like how many events the Trump administration had versus the Obama administration, it was almost half as many as events as the Obama administration.
Yeah.
It was actually a point of pride for the Trump administration because they were like, yeah, Trump doesn't want to go to 7 banquets. He just wants to get in the White House and get to work. Which
Yeah.
now we know he spent like a third of his time at fucking Mar-a-Lago. We know that's horseshit, but whatever.
Yep.
That's for the next podcast.
Yep.
Because I think the next one we're gonna do, he will be on like a 16-day vacation. What the fuck? But yeah, so it's like he was like, no, I don't want to have all these big ballrooms and all these big parties. I just want to get to work. It's like, well, we know now because nobody fucking likes you. But then it was just, he's like, all right, whatever. You don't want to have as many balls and parades. Okay, so you want to have half, a shorter parade and half as many parties. Fantastic. Why the fuck do you need twice as much money to pay for it then? And like,
Yeah.
right after the fact, there was a report that like $20-some million had been paid to one of Ivanka's friends who had just created a business like days beforehand to like help organize. Like, it's one of those like shell companies that was created out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, you guys want to be shady fucks, that's fine. But then
you can't. Okay, like, and the thing is like, I honestly, I understand where this is coming from. Like, I legitimately think this is what happened. These people have been operating this way their entire lives, and it didn't fucking matter because Trump wasn't the goddamn president.
Right.
Now that he is, and I've said this a million times, once you become president, every single thing you have ever done is my business.
Right.
I mean,
of course.
Yeah, like, that's just, I turn over every rock. I don't care. And when they throw someone Democratic in the White House, fucking rake them over the coals too. I want to learn everything I can about them. I don't care I don't care who's in that office. You don't get the right to privacy. And I really think they did all this shit because this sounds a lot like the stuff that the Trump family has done for generations. It's just now they're under the microscope for it because of the office.
Right.
And it's hilarious. Like, I really think they're just blindsided by the fact that anybody is looking and cares.
Well, and they're also very offended that people even try to look.
Yeah, that's your key thing. That it really is. I think, to a point, like, all jokes aside, I really think it wasn't like necessarily the evilest of intentions. Evil beyond normal corporate America, rich person evil. Like, this is how they've always done things, and the fact that they're so offended that people want to look now that they're running the country shows you that's how they've always done things, which is going to make it hilarious once the Democrats take the House.
Oh yeah,
look at all their shit.
Well, and like, Trump keeps talking about how there's these red lines they can't cross. No,
what's
sir.
that? No, there's literally
sir.
nothing. Yeah.
No, as the sitting president of the United States, you are a servant of the people.
Yeah.
You don't get to cross those lines. And the fact that he gets so flustered, and these little fucking kids that toddle around the White House that haven't done anything except work for dad, are gonna get like fucking belligerent about what I want to know and when I want to know it. You know what? Fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Like,
yeah, no, it's and again, it's just, to a certain extent, I honestly believe a lot of this stuff they're going to get nailed for. They probably didn't, like, they're just like, it doesn't matter, it's fine, because it's never mattered in corporate America, but it fucking matters now, dude. Like, yeah. When your dad, it's literally the most powerful office on the planet. We're gonna look at some shit.
Well, and it's like, kind of that whole thing about walking into a job that you have to share with 2 other equal branches of government. This whole distribution of powers thing. Checks and balances. You know, I guess I don't know what the fuck they thought was going to happen. Like, you know, there's all these rumor reports and innuendo. Like the fact that Rex Tillerson is saying that he had to tell Donald Trump over and over again, you can't do that because it's illegal. And
Yeah.
Donald Trump was like, what the fuck?
Like, I want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and in the past, you know, and it makes sense because when you have a company that's the kind of company, you know, it's a legacy company, it's a family company,
Right.
you only surround yourself with people that tell you what you want to hear.
All right.
Like, it makes perfect sense. Like, there's never gonna, in the past, people have probably not buy it's, and especially as a private business, it's probably just easier for him to just like, well, whatever, we'll pay for the legal damages and move on. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it. Yeah, who gives a
Yeah.
shit? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like, I have one more comment on this, and then we should take a squeege break and fill up our bruise receptacles, because we have two more things to knock out real quick before we wrap this up.
Well,
But
yeah, an hour and 14 minutes. That's not bad. Let's
not
go.
bad. But here's the thing: I am not under some kind of fucking rainbow quilt idea that corporate America is always awesome.
No.
I am sure that Miller Lite and Captain Morgan and Xbox or Microsoft, whatever shell you want to put it under, have done some shitty things to make
Yup.
their bottom line as good as it can be, and to to make sure that the company didn't go under on their first couple of years of being a corporation. But you also aren't the president, the leader of the free world.
Yeah, like that's those the Microsoft doesn't get to decide whether or not to launch nukes. Like
Right.
that's exactly. And then again,
Exactly.
that's the like exception to the rules. Like, well, but no, when you're the president, honestly, as far as government, let's government in general. Like I'd say this all the way down to you know
Oh yeah,
local
municipal,
levels.
yeah,
Like
dog
if
catcher.
you choose to serve, which is what it is. You're a public servant. Like, dude, once you do that, everything, like obviously, like no, the shit that goes on in your bedroom is,
Yeah.
that's awful. But like who you're fucking doesn't matter unless it's like, I don't know, Russian spy. That's true. Well, that might be kind of important, but yeah, no, like with but like if you're a government, like all this shit is now our business, and if you
Yeah.
don't like it, you can go fuck yourselves. You shouldn't have run for office.
Yeah, if you're gonna run for dog catcher in Cowboy
Yeah,
County, and then be pissed off when somebody asks you what are you spending your budget on, then you shouldn't be in public service. Like that's just
yeah,
not how that
exactly.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly like that's the like then, and I'm pretty sure any good campaign manager or political consultant will tell you like, yo, once it's public service, like nothing's off limits. Like realistically, like once you're a public
Yeah.
servant, it's all on the fucking table, and someone's gonna find it. So
Yeah. Like if you're the mayor of a small town, let's say Huntington, West Virginia, and
mm-hmm,
you're
mm-hmm.
caught having an affair. Yeah, that's shitty. And you might lose an election because people now don't think you have any morals. But that has nothing to do with the budget of Huntington,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Like
So
those are the distinctions that you can make. But yeah, people should like if like suddenly you buy a $4,000 fucking chair to sit in, like I would want to know why you bought a $4,000 chair to sit in.
yeah,
Whatever.
my the chair I'm sitting in right now, it's actually pretty shitty now, but it was $300 5 years ago. It was a good chair.
Yeah.
So,
I think the chair my ass is in right now was like $39.99 from Walmart. I liked
nice.
it. I sat in. I was like, "This is pretty good." I got like three more of them around the house now.
Yep, there you go. That's all you need. Like, I love it, especially with this shit where people like these public offices, they're just like, well, I shouldn't have to justify how I spend my money. Oh, actually, yeah, you really should. That's like fucking why you're there, dude. Like, yeah,
And
I
also,
elected you to do stuff because I'm not gonna do it. Like, so I need you to be above board because I'm not above board.
yeah, and honestly, this attitude you're giving me makes you want to call right up your ass and set up shop now.
Yeah, dude. Now, so what do we? Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing. It's like, well, and I hate to. I don't in a fucking free society. This logic is not good. I don't like it. But well, if you're a public servant, if you've got nothing to hide, why do you care if I'm looking? Like,
Yeah.
if you haven't done anything wrong, let me flip through your taxes here. That's
Why are you so I mean, Shay, you're saying that exact thing in a week that I read an article where two nuns embezzled over $500,000 to go on a
I
gambling
saw
trip.
yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like awesome. Yeah, nuns.
Yeah.
Gambling, that's
Awesome.
badass. Yeah, sounds awesome. Yeah, that
All
shit's
right.
funny.
Let's take a squeeze break and we'll get back. We got two other things to knock out. One of those I know is close to your heart, and that's hate sex.
Oh, dude, I love that hate sex. Oh, oh.
And we're back. So
Hi.
yeah, we've taken our mid podcast squeege.
As someone who never actually listens to the podcast, I assume it's just in the middle of it. It goes, all right, a break, and then like 10 seconds later, all right, we're back.
There's actually no break. Yeah, I just hit
Oh,
pause,
okay.
and so like the people who are listening to this here, all right, we're gonna go on break. Yeah, we're back.
Okay, it's almost instant. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're back.
and we're back. I guess in
It's
theory,
like we're gods. They don't know what time it is.
I guess in theory we would come back after some some sponsors or something.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
We'll get there.
I'm just peeing because I was drinking a bunch.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. So the two things that I want to talk about. One, we don't really need to talk too much about. It's just a funny thing. Apparently, Donald Trump can't find anybody to be his next chief of staff.
That shit's pretty funny.
It's
like,
getting really funny. It's getting super fucking silly. Who is like just calling out like people that haven't even been like officially asked, or maybe they've been asked in a back channel, but like people are just fucking sounding off on network TV. Nope, don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So General Kelly is going to leave at the end of the year. Just so for those of you who've been living in a cave for a while, General Kelly took the job in July of 2017, and his job was to bring order to the White House, structure to the White House, to be,
Yeah, I wonder what's going to be like moving forward. It's going to be he's leaving right as the Democrat. He knows what's up. He's like, oh, I'm not staying for this shit show. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, and he had said to several people, like I'd heard reports and read articles where he was going to serve for a year. That he was a military general. He was going to the world could have ended 6 months into it, but he was going to serve his full at least a year. And so he's going to bounce at the end of the year. He was supposed to bring structure and order to the White House. You can judge on your own whether that happened. So the next thing that Donald Trump wanted to do is he wanted to hire Mike Pence's, Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, a guy named Nick Ayers. This guy is a complete political animal. Like he's made estimates are between like $35 and $50 million as a political consultant, and he's like 36. He's a young guy. Like he is.
And then to be offered that position, the fact that he turned that down means he knows. He's like, no, dude, that's suicide. I'm not touching that shit.
Well, and apparently the offer was like he had to agree to a solid 2 years. He had to agree to finish out Donald Trump's first term as chief of staff, and he just wouldn't do it. And it was kind of it was kind of a double-edged sword because he said that like his reasoning for turning it down, like you and I know, it was because it was going to be a complete shit show.
Yeah.
But this guy Nick Ayers was like, he said that he wanted to spend more time with his family and like his kids really needed him. And I think he has triplets. Like he's got like 6-year-old triplets, like something crazy like that. And he was like, no, I need to spend time with my family. But you can't say that you need to spend time with your family and then go back to being the vice president's chief of staff. So he just bolted. Like he's out. Like he left.
Yeah.
He left the White House totally. So
I think that's because he was like, oh, this is my out, and he just got out. Like he knows. He's like, oh, this is it. It's totally legit. Okay, great. I'm out.
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
Yeah, because if anyone in those rooms with moderate intelligence knows, as soon as the Democrats take the House next year, their jobs in the White House are all gonna be a lot harder. They're like all of the like the aides and the staff, everybody's gonna be working double time to deal with all the shit that's gonna be going on.
One of the that it's funny you say that because one of my favorite people on MSNBC now is Nicole Walls. You'll know the name Nicole Walls because she was George W. Bush's press secretary.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
She was George W. Bush's press
I mean,
secretary.
I vaguely recall a
Yeah.
person. I was pretty young, but yeah.
And she has a show. It's like at 4 p.m. my time, Central Time. So
Mm.
it's like 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or whatever. But I think it's Deadline Washington. I think is the name of the
Mm.
show. And she was a Republican president's press secretary, and she was in charge of. You've watched the movie Game Change, right? I think I've told you to watch this like a dozen times.
Probably not.
Okay,
That doesn't ring a bell.
it's the movie Game Change is based off the book Game Change. It was written by two political writers in Washington, and they interviewed like over 300 people that were involved with the McCain and Obama campaigns in 2008. And so basically, they chronicled the pick of Sarah Palin, her envelopment into the campaign, and then her subsequential just going fucking bonkers during the end of the campaign. And Nicole Walsh was the one that was paired with her to like prep her for these interviews. Like she was the one. Nicole Walsh was the single person Sarah Palin blamed for her just a horrible Katie Couric interview where she couldn't name a thing
Yeah.
magazine she'd read.
Yeah. I do remember that.
So like she was the one that was paired with her to like lead her through that, and she just couldn't do it. Like so she is, as a Republican goes, she has a lot of fucking integrity, and she has this show on NBC, and she's like, listen, I have had this job. Spin when I was in the White House meant you take the facts and you present them in the best way possible. You don't just lie to the American people. Like she's just beside herself, like how this administration lies to American people.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's funny you say that because, like, this position, like, she was talking about this too. She's like, this is a kingmaker position. Like, you don't pass this up. You don't pass this position up because, like, if you're the chief of staff of the president, like, you can write your own ticket after the fact. But she also said something that I thought was hilarious. Like, when the Democrats, like, that night, when the Democrats were like kind of still butthurt that they hadn't beaten Ted Cruz and Florida wasn't going their way, but like all the other races seemed to be going okay. And we wouldn't know for like another 3 weeks that they just trounced everybody else like down the ticket, like that late that night. Nicole Walsh was like, listen, you guys don't understand. Like, these people in the White House don't understand. They all need to get fucking lawyers right now. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as the Democrats take control of Congress and have subpoena power, she's like, I have been there. I've lived through this. Like, the day after that election, I got a lawyer, and everybody else got a fucking lawyer because they're gonna come to you and say, I want every email and text you've made since like fucking January of blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
She's like their world is gonna be turned on its ear, and these fucking people don't know how to deal with it because they can't deal with it when it's going their way, and they have all three branches of government.
Yeah, that makes me so. It makes me so mad because it always comes back to that. It's like it's been such a shit show up until now. Everybody needs to understand this. It's been a shit show up until now. You think it's been a shit show with all three branches of government for the Republicans. Now that it's not, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get crazier. And this is gonna be like the real test because the next 2 years are gonna be brutal.
Well, and also like just to follow up on what you just said, everybody talks about how it's been a shit show, and they've controlled all three branches of government. Like, and let's be very clear here. I know OAC or AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's a long name and I butcher it, but like she got like run up the flagpole for like boffing this. Like, let's just be very clear. The Republicans control at this very day that we're recording this, December 16th. They control the House and the Senate and the White House. And and this is an unofficial thing to say. They control the Supreme Court. They have a conservative majority on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they always vote that way, but they have a foothold there. So that's what Shay and I are saying when they say they control all three branches of the federal government. But yeah, like. But the other thing that's funny, and I don't want to harp on this too much because we could go down this rabbit hole forever, but like they have spent the last 18 months acting as the victim when they control all the fucking levers of power.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
Well, it's because they spent the entire Obama administration being victims, and now they don't know how to not do that. Like there are so many people, and that's not just like my opinion. You can like look at it. Well, I mean, it is my opinion, but like you can look. There are people. There are obviously that's my opinion. That's the whole point of this stupid fucking thing that we're doing. But you can look at it. There were people who came to power playing the victim. That's how they got where they're at. And now that they're not, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like that whole, I mean, you could make the argument for people like Alex Jones. Like, I mean, he's been doing that shtick for longer than the last 10 years, but I mean, like he rose
had
to
to turn on a dime.
Yeah, but he really rose to prominence during the Obama administration because that's when he could play the victim and he had a big bad. And a lot now a lot of those people have done the same thing and they're in government and now they don't know how to fucking govern.
Yeah,
because it's all fine and dandy until you actually have to do some shit.
We need to put a pin in that and really revisit that and spend really block out 30 or 40 minutes to talk about how Paul Ryan was nominated to Congress at 28. He was the whiz kid of all whiz kids.
Yep.
And he was going to be, he was the budget wonk. He was the guy that was always going to write the budget that was going to save America. Never passed one single fucking budget while he was Speaker of the House. And now he did really super awesome things like say that we should raise the retirement age so that we could pay for more Social Security. But little blue-eyed motherfucker is going to retire at 49 with a full pension. And just goes merry way. You know, I mean, and look, I mean, what in the last year the budget deficit has sprung up 17%. That's just off the top of my head. Like I haven't even looked at years past that. Like we need to do a podcast where we get on like John Maddie and John be good at this. He's a numbers guy. Like we just fucking rake Paul. I'm so sad that people are poor Ryan over the coals for just doing everything, like not doing a single goddamn fucking thing he said he was going to do, and then bounce in the second it got hard.
Yeah, no, that's this whole generation of fucking. It's the Tea Party Republicans. It's
piece of shit.
They're all pieces of shit.
All right, so just to recap, Nick Ayers said he wouldn't do it. Chris Christie said he wouldn't do it.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's what we were talking about.
We're talking about chief of staff. Yeah. Talking about chief staff. So Nick Ayers said no. Chris Christie says no. And Chris Christie is a fucking political. Like Chris Christie left the governorship of New Jersey with a 15% approval rating. When he says that chief of staff job is a fucking step down, you're fucked. You're fucked.
Well, here's the thing. Was he offered, or did he publicly say don't offer? Like.
No, he went and met. He went and met at the White House. I think he was given an honest to God offer.
Okay, because that was there's been a couple of those messages where it sounds like people are just preemptively saying like, "Yo, I don't want it."
Yeah, well, you're right. Donald Trump has said that he's got a list of 15 people or 10 or 15 people that totally want to do it, and he won't release the list, of course. But Chris Christie did go talk and sit with the White House. He said no. Newt Gingrich said no without even being asked.
Newt Gingrich, what the fuck is he doing these days? Anyway, go ahead.
He has probably about 13 different businesses that tell you how awesome Newt Gingrich is. That's his thing. Rick Santorum said he wouldn't take it without being asked. The thing that really stuck in my craw was that there were several solid articles that said that Trump was thinking about making Kushner the chief of staff, and that would have made me just take a day off work and drink the entire day. Just the entire day.
No, dude, that's
such incestuous bullshit right there.
Yeah, right. That's just no.
Yeah. So where we are right now is that Nick Mulvaney, who is the head of the Government Accountability Office, I believe so, or Budget Accountability Office, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Who's on record saying Donald Trump is a terrible
yes.
That's so good.
So he's gonna hang on as the acting chief of staff starting in 2019. He's already on record in 2016 saying Donald Trump is a terrible human being. And just to put a pin in this and we can move on. There is a tweet from like 2012 where Donald Trump said that Barack Obama has had three chiefs of staffs in 3 years. That's why he can't push his agenda through. Nick Mulvaney would make a third chief of staff in less than 2 years, and we haven't even gotten a third, like the fourth official guy yet. So,
oh yeah, it's. I
there's
mean,
always a fucking tweet.
always a fucking tweet for it. It's amazing. Well, I mean, there's the just so you know, one of the best subreddits right now is Trump criticized Trump.
Oh,
like it's
why
our
did
Trump.
you not send this to me?
Oh, I'm
before?
sorry. I might have, but it's I'll send it to you after we finish. But and it's literally just it's typically the way it's curated is it's always Trump tweets that are relevant to what's going on in the news now, but from like 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Like
right,
it's so good, and it's a lot of moments like that, but it's a whole subreddit dedicated to it.
Well, and in all honesty, I post a lot of bullshit
Oh
on
yeah,
Facebook.
dude.
Don't ask me to like remember all of it, but also I'm not the fucking sitting POTUS.
Exactly, and that's the thing is like, and I need. This is something that's been bugging me a lot, and the one it just bugs me about politics in general. But like, I've been thinking about it a lot, and we could talk about this on another episode. But like, the idea of a flip flop on an opinion, like, yo, you should be able to change your opinion.
Right.
Like that's a thing. Like if someone comes to you and presents you with a bunch of facts that alter your perception on the situation, you should be able to say like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way. Now I think of it." You know what I mean? Like like changing your opinion's not bad, but like, goddamn, dude, like I mean, God, it's almost like he's trying to directly do the opposite of the shit he was saying about it. Like
Yeah.
it's like Trump has a list of his own tweets. He's like, I'm gonna do that. That's the one I'm gonna do today. Like I'm gonna fire my chief of staff because I said this like 3 years ago. It's gonna be hilarious. Like,
and the chief of staff is sitting in his office just doing his shit, going, "What? What happened?
wait, what? Yeah, like yeah.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Like you should always be able to change your mind. Like if let's just pick like all right, one of the stats I was reading earlier today. Medicare for all. People talk about Medicare for all because it's gonna cost way much more money than we have. Like, but if you look at the numbers, like if we keep our current system of healthcare, that would cost like $47 trillion.
Yeah.
And Medicare for all would cost $30 trillion. Like, so yes, it's an outpay of $30 trillion, but if you look at it in like 10 years, it's going to save us 17. Like, okay, if I'm a congressman and I've been saying like Medicare for all is stupid, and you bring me those numbers, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I was wrong.
That makes sense.
Right. And you should be able to flip flop on that. But then if I was saying Medicare for all is the greatest idea ever, and then a conglomeration of hospitals give me $20 million for my reelection campaign, and I suddenly go, you know what? I think Medicare for all is really stupid now.
Yeah, like, that's different.
That's the flip flop where you should be set on fire for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like when God, who was it? Was it at one point Coca-Cola was got in trouble because they like Coca-Cola had said like soda's a hydrating beverage, but it turned out that they were the ones that had paid for the study, and everybody's like, no, wait a minute.
Oh yeah. Well, there's also now I this is kind of hearsay and rumor, which is what the Woods Cast is about.
All about it.
But I heard.
Bring your facts to my feeling fight.
Yeah. I heard that like the idea that breakfast is the most important meal was a study that was paid for by like cereal companies.
I'm pretty sure that was specifically Kellogg.
Yeah, and
like that was like him. That was a marketing thing, like a very successful one. Yeah,
that would make perfect sense. Like I get that. Yeah. All right. So the last thing we're gonna skip over number 4 here. Fuck that. The ACA is not gonna go away because some jackass in Texas ruled it's gonna go away. It'll be appealed.
Yeah.
The last thing that we need to talk about is hate, sex, and the Conways.
Oh man, dude, that's got to get weird.
This is, and
is there something new going on that I didn't miss about?
I want to preference this to say that for those of you that listen to the Woodscast, religiously like you should, of course.
How would you know what's going on?
Yeah, how would you know what's going on without listening to us pound beers and talking to the void of the internet? No, so Shay had to recently say goodbye to his best friend in the world, his little furry friend Roland. But during what I know was a low time in your life, you sent me a message that said, and this is a quote: "Side note: the hate sex between Conway and her husband must be brutal."
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude. It's I
yeah.
mean, it's just it is either the most it is either the most carefully choreographed public relationship that like this is a thing they're doing. Like they're consciously deciding to do like which I honestly wouldn't be surprised
Well,
if
and
like this
honestly,
is
because they're both political actors in
they
this
know what they're
this
doing.
yeah, they know
Yeah,
what they're
they
doing.
know. They're
So
not
that wouldn't
Kellyanne
be too
Conway
far
may
out.
be evil. I wouldn't say she's smart, but she knows what she's doing.
She's not dumb.
She's not stupid. Yeah, exactly. And like, so it's either that's what's going on, or they have the most hateful, apocalyptic marriage
Yeah.
you could possibly imagine. That is just nothing but throwing furniture and knives at each other
Yeah.
until kind of like that scene in Mr. and Mrs. Smith where they're fighting each other until
Oh
they end up
yeah.
banging. Like that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
it's going to be like. And they've got to go out and do these pundit shows so they can replace entire living room sets that they smash because they're trying to kill each other until they have sex.
Yeah.
Like it's gotta be. Oh, I can't imagine the dynamic in that relationship.
Well, and you know what? Either side of that coin, I find hilarious.
Oh, it's both. Yeah, yeah. The like realistically, for the purposes of logic, it's probably a very carefully choreographed dance that they do. But
Well,
mainly because if anything, because they're both smart people, and if one divorces the other, all that shit's out in public.
right. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because that divorce decree, whatever. I mean, you think people covered Michael Avenatti saying he was going to run for presidency while run for the presidency while representing Stormy Daniels? You think people covered that shit too much? Wait until Kellyanne Conway files for divorce from George Conway, and see if people aren't just fucking camping out. Like there will be people sitting on top of their cars, just like, what's going on, guys?
how you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, what's
Uh,
going on? But no, I agree with you. Like those two sides of that coin are both equally entertaining to me. But
yeah,
I have
I
to
I I
I
kick
have
that
to
around
go
a
with
lot.
I have to go with the fact that they're probably very coordinated and very smart about this because
Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm sure they love each other. He probably loves the fact that she's basically Maleficent from
yeah,
Disney
yeah.
universe.
Well, but also, I mean, but like, okay, I can throw some evidence the other way. I mean, the fact that they are basically hating each other on Twitter, but stay together for their quote unquote their perfect marriage.
Yeah,
Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are still fucking married,
it's true.
and I'm sure there isn't a lot of pleasant conversation happening around that fucking dinner table nowadays.
Dude, I mean, like, first of all, like, I hate that it always comes back to this, but like, Hillary Clinton just does not seem like I bet on like an interpersonal level, like if you meet her in a room, she's perfectly wonderful. But the public persona is she is such a fucking just stone faced person because that's what she's had to do
Right.
after all the shit she's been through. Like, so it's so hard to imagine that she's like cordial and nice, but I believe it. But like that, but you're right. Like I can't imagine how awkward some of the dinners around that table must be, especially when fucking Bill runs his mouth and says some dumb shit because he
Oh
doesn't give
yeah,
a fuck.
yeah. But like, and like,
I'm
okay,
not
so
president anymore. It sounds like a problem. Yeah.
and we've talked about this before. Like, but let's take a quick aside here and talk about like just real quick one example of how women are treated differently than men in places of power. Like Nancy Pelosi is is one of the best and most effective speakers of the House we've ever had.
Yeah.
But since she has been Speaker of the House, she's had like I would say a handful of like covers of magazines. But the second Paul Ryan was elected Speaker of the House, he was like some kind of wonder kid, and
Yeah.
everybody he was just, and he was just anytime that she brought out the knives to get some policy passed. She was like, I'm not going to play nice. I'm going to fuck with this person because I need this. I need their vote. I need this legislation passed. She was called a bitch and all the stuff because
Yeah.
asked if she was too old to do the job, whereas fucking Paul Ryan wouldn't take the job without being guaranteed he'd have his weekends free. Like he's like, I want, nobody else gets, personal leave, but I want it for me, all this bullshit,
Yeah.
you know, And yeah, she might, she has her own problems as Speaker of the House, but she's like, it's almost always because she's a fucking woman.
Yeah, I mean, I, you know, I respect the hell out of Nancy Pelosi, and she's fucking smart, and you can like that interaction. I can't believe we didn't talk about this, where she had that interaction with Trump,
Oh
where
yeah,
Trump, like, well, then put it to the vote. If you got the votes, just do it right now. Go for it, dude. Like
yeah.
that was like she's basically like, yo, this is how our government works, Donnie.
I hate
There,
that I
but
have to explain this to you.
yeah, but like, and she was so poised, and that was very clearly designed to like surprise, because they didn't know there'd be cameras there. They
Yeah.
didn't. That was very clearly intended to take advantage of the fact they would be caught off guard, and it did not work because she's too smart for that. However, all of that said, she is awesome. There is some validity to the argument that she, as of now, for me, she still represents a very entrenched,
Oh yeah,
old
of course.
school
Yeah.
method
Oh
of
yeah.
doing things.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't mean she can't change, and that doesn't mean that, you know. And I'll be honest, everyone that I don't really like. Those are the reasons I would be okay with someone else taking the house. But show me one fucking person that can do the job. Oh wait, you
Yeah.
can't,
No.
because there's
Well,
in all honesty, you want somebody that's done the job before, so you can hit the
especially right
ground
now.
running. Yeah,
Especially
right
right
now
now.
it's gonna be a shit. Like there's nobody else that's gonna be able to handle that. Like shut the fuck
Well,
up, people. Like come on.
well, and also like the
If she was a
argument.
man, you're right. Nobody would care.
Yeah, the argument against her being Speaker in the House was A, we don't want her Speaker of the House, which
Yeah,
is not
yeah.
an argument at all, and
No,
B, nobody would fucking step up to take her to take the place. Like there
no.
was just this general rumor murmur that like we should have a new leader. It's like, well then somebody step the fuck up and do it. Like,
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was dumb.
we don't want to go that far. Yeah. So anyway, so that was an aside. Let's get back to how much the Conways are hate fucking each other. So first of all, to your theory that they aren't like busting up an entire thing of Pier 1 furniture every night and then scrogging like there's no tomorrow. George Conway was not a never Trumper. Now he's a DC lawyer. It's not an idiot. So he actually introduced his wife Kellyanne to Trump, and kind of said, you could really help him out. Like she could help you out. So, and that's how kind of she became the last and final and the winning Trump campaign chairman, not the one that is currently going to go to jail for like ever.
Wow, I forgot she did that. She was a
Yeah,
campaign
she's a
chair.
campaign manager. She's currently like his senior advisor, like some kind of one of these like nebulous. I'm gonna go on CNN and defend him no matter
And
what.
she gets a check for it. Yeah, I hear
Exactly. But this is where this gets funny because since Donald Trump became Donald Trump, George Conway has become extremely critical of him. Excuse me, on Twitter. He's had some really great lines, um, like um, and he's just been completely critical of him on Twitter, and one of the and it's been like this big thing because like Kellyanne Conway's job is to go out on CNN and say like, hey, uh, you know, Donald Trump has never done anything wrong and will never do anything wrong, and then like 14 minutes after she says that, George Conway is like on on Twitter going, man, Donald Trump is such a piece of shit. Like what a sack of shit. I can't believe anybody works for this guy. And so
you.
there's that total conflict is what happens. So like we were talking about when there was the last one that was really funny, really caught my eye was that like December 7th, we had the Flynn sentencing memo where the Department of Justice, the Mueller probe basically said like General Flynn has cooperated to a very, very large extent. We appreciate his work. He's helped us on these two different investigations, and then this third one. The third one's like completely blacked out. Nobody knows what it is yet. Um, so basically, none of the filings said Donald Trump colluded with Russia. So of course, Donald Trump tweets, "Totally clear as president. Thank you." And then right after that, George Conway tweets, "Except for that little part where the U.S. Attorney's Office says you directed and coordinated with Cohen to commit 2 felonies. Other than that, totally scot-free."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that
like,
was gold.
like he is just fucking dunking on
And
Trump left and right
you
on Twitter.
know Trump sees him because
Oh yeah,
it's so
yeah,
it's yeah, you know he
yeah.
does.
And so most recently, Kellyanne Conway, like after this recent Michael Cohen thing, she went on and she sparred with Chris Cuomo on CNN about how she basically said that the fact that Donald Trump was heard on tape agreeing and coordinating with Michael Cohen to pay these women off didn't really matter, and that when he said on Air Force One, like several months ago, like he had no clue what anybody was talking about, he had never known anything about it, he was lying. And Kellyanne Conway goes, "Oh, no, he's not lying. That's not what's happening." And actually, she went even further and accused Chris Cuomo of a slur against the president. She said that when you say that the president of the United States is lying, that's a slur against the president of the United States.
No.
And I say, you're a bitch. That's fucking bullshit. Uh, the First Amendment didn't just evaporate because he became president, and he is fucking lying. Like, for fuck's sake, he's lying.
It's an objective fact. Like, that's
he's fucking lying.
I mean, okay, I guess, and then that in itself is that argument of I'm so sick and tired of people, because like in order for it to be a lie, he would have had to have known it wasn't, all that shit, and that's why a lot of the media are hesitant to call him out on it.
Right.
But the longer it goes on, you'll notice people are more and more willing to call him out on it, because now that there's 2 years in office, you can go, well, hey, wait a minute, you said this on this day and tweeted this on this day, but then this happened on, you knew about it, and that's the kind of thing that with a 2-year history of Twitter tirades.
When you're on when Shay, that would be like me somebody asking me on camera, have I ever done a podcast with Shay Woods, and me going, no. And they're like, wait a minute, I can bring this motherfucking shit up on YouTube right now. They're like, oh, so you got the YouTube. I didn't know you had the YouTube. My bad.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I did. Yeah, like, my bad. Define the quest. Define have you ever done this thing?
So, and the most recently, which is the one I think is really fucking funny, is when, like, right after she got off CNN with Chris Cuomo, George Conway said this on Twitter. He said, or I'm sorry, no, he wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post. This is not just some Twitter. He wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post, but on Twitter he said, given that Donald Trump has repeatedly lied about the Daniels and McDougal payments, given that he lies about virtually everything else to this point, that his own former personal lawyer described him as a fucking liar, why should we take his word over the federal prosecutors? And that was that was like minutes after his wife spent like 30 minutes on CNN just saying that Donald Trump doesn't lie. So like that was the juxtaposition that has everybody just going, holy shit.
Yeah, and it's either like, I mean, I want to know how the dynamic works. Like, I really imagine it's probably very uninteresting. Like, yo, I'm gonna go out and say this shit today, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna say this. All right, see you tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Or like, I
don't know though, because that's so weird.
Well, honestly,
I can't think of another. Can you think of another example? Also,
how weird would it be if, like, you, and I know you don't have a girlfriend because you're in a Mexican standoff right now about that word.
Yeah.
But like, imagine, like, I'm married. Like, I can't imagine having such a duplicitous relationship with my wife.
Yeah, like it doesn't. I don't.
I can't imagine having like a home Justin and a like Twitter Justin, and then a like anybody I talk to in real life Justin.
I mean, the other side of that is these people probably are dead inside. So
yeah, well, that's true.
That's You're Justin. You're basing you're framing this from what I assume is the perception of a happy marriage, and that may not be what it is. They could have the most dysfunctional shit you've ever heard of, for all dude. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, every now and then, like, I feel like they get in like a fist fight that just results in them having just like really good hate sex, and then like they don't talk for a week. Like, it's just not even involved.
And they both just fantasize about the next fist fight that leads into hate sex.
Yeah. It's like, man, I can't stand that bitch, but it's so good when I fuck. Just stupid shit.
If I could just get her to stop putting her thumb in my eye. I mean, fuck. That hurt.
Yeah, ow.
Yeah. All right. So I think it's about time we wrap this up. So, like I've said before, we should we're going to dump the whole ass out of the week because That's what basically this podcast is
That's the
about.
entire podcast. That's why
That's the entire fucking
I
podcast.
don't know. That's all I'm gonna do. I mean, I can take time to bitch about how much I hate Lou Dobbs if you want, but that's
Oh, I had a link about Lou Dobbs. I fucking forgot. Let's do that real quick. So Lou Dobbs had a quote where since um, uh, Michael Cohen had been apparently bamboozled, um, Lou Dobbs had a quote about oh yeah, here you go. Lou Dobbs called the FBI a legion of evildoers because they had apparently, bamboozled Michael Cohen and or were trying to frame Donald Trump.
God, that guy. Like, oh man. First of all, I love that he's like channeling old timey newscaster with the word bamboozled. That's just fantastic. I mean, he's just such a piece of shit. Like, and if you go look at his career, he's always been a piece of shit. Like, he's a little bit less of a piece of shit, like, a while, but he's pretty much always been a piece of shit. And then that just gets me every time I think about that fucking him talking about how he doesn't understand why the public school system doesn't teach how awesome Donald Trump is. I was like, well, it's because it's not fucking. This isn't the USSR. Like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's North Korea. Yeah. That's why we don't do it.
Fascist says what?
Yeah, fascist. Huh? Yeah. And I'll take this moment to apologize to anybody that may be wondering. I have been obsessively fiddling with one of these little magnesium strikers the whole time, and I guarantee it's picked up me fucking with it. So that's what that's that weird noise you've probably heard.
That tink 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 sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So instead of the let's just start a new segment this week, and we're gonna keep it going. Don't wipe a booger on the camera. That's just rude.
Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah. So what I would like to introduce is the segment that I would like to call This Week in Woo Fuckery. So
sure.
This Week in Woo Fuckery, I have a great nomination. Shay, our home state, West Virginia, had a national story where three fucking junkies got stuck in a mine trying to strip it for copper. Did you see this?
No.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
So in Clear Creek, West Virginia.
Okay, yeah, I know where that is. Yep.
These I think it was 3 or 4. I want to say 4. 4 people went into a closed and abandoned mine, looking for spare scrap copper they could strip, like probably lighting, copper wiring, all that shit. They got in there, they got trapped and couldn't get out, and so a guy that noticed their cars and their 4-wheeler called the cops, and they eventually figured out that there were 4 people. I think it was 4 people that were missing. One guy ended up like scrambling out to alert the authorities that his 3 other junkie buddies were down there, and like my problem with this is that it was covered as it was like those kids, the soccer team, and where the hell that was like a couple months ago. Remember that? Like,
are you talking about the like the kids in the was that in Thailand? What the hell was that? I don't remember.
Yeah, where was it?
There, it was covered like the baby in the well kind of stories.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that kind of shit. No.
It was covered as if these people were.
And you want to call dirtbags in the well? That's fine.
Yeah. No,
there's your episode title: "Dirtbag in the Well."
It was covered as if they're like these people had been trapped in this well by something other than their own fucking junkie greed.
Yeah, dude.
And even the start of the article I read was like, all the locals know why they were there because copper's $4 a pound now. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And just as an aside note, never go into abandoned mines. That is so fucking dangerous.
You know what? Like mines that are operational are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are abandoned and not maintained, no.
Way worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Full disclosure, like when I was younger, they're like pretty much. I'm sure a lot of people in West Virginia have these kinds of stories of being like, yeah, I fucking went to the New River Gorge and crawled into some abandoned mines. I can't believe I didn't die. Like, yeah. That's like, whoa.
Well, like back in the day, some of the larger cave systems in Kentucky, like I remember very clearly going on a scout camp out where we camped out at Carter Caves, and like we didn't camp near the cave, we camped at the cave, we camped near it, and then we would hike to it during the day, and we would just, and like the adults would just kind of like do a little base camp outside of the mouth of the cave, and we would just go nuts into the cave. Like, we were not supervised. We were not, there's not a guide with us. Like, we were just fucking left to our own devices for the better part of a day, and like they just made sure that all of us were accounted for before it got dark. And like, but there's 1,000 different ways that could have gone south real quick.
Yep.
And not only were our scoutmasters totally cool with it, but like fucking Carter Caves was totally cool with it. And
they got a bunch of unmanned or unguided caves there that you could get hurt in.
Yeah, but now they're all.
Wait, sign a waiver.
Right. Well, but also, I think all those ones that we were in when I went on that trip are now like gated up.
Yeah, you can't get into them anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well,
White Nose kills all the bats too, bro.
Well, that's true, and also probably a lot of kids drown. But whatever. We got enough people on this planet. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We'll be fine. All right. So we've talked about some stuff. We've put some pins in some things that we need to discuss later.
Do you actually write any of the stuff we're supposed to pin down, or?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. I'm not. Let's check.
I actually I'm kind of like trying to come up with I'm actually really making a point to come up with like a month by month like plan that I need to talk to you about, but I never do. So
okay,
that's how this works.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
That sounds about like us, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening to the Woodscast. Like we've said, we enjoy the shit out of doing it. And we hope you enjoy too. If you have any questions or comments, want to bitch about how Shay is tinked around with a magnesium fire starter the entire fucking podcast.
Hey, listen, you got to do something.
Yeah, you got to do something. Hit us up. You can hit us up on, it's the Woodscast 1776 at gmail.com, or you can hit us up at Twitter. Twitter and or Facebook. Twitter is at Woodscast and Facebook we are at Woodscast 1776. You should be able to find this podcast everywhere you find your podcast. It's actually kind of scary that I can Google this podcast and it'll pop up wherever.
It is way easier than you'd think.
I was really surprised that it actually fucking worked, by the way. Apple was boning us hard for a while. They were being real chuds about it. But oh well. But we will be back next week. We are going to try to keep it weekly, right, Shay?
Mm-hmm. That's the goal. That's the goal.
I think that if we do this for long enough, people will listen. Now, whether or not we make sense or say anything that's worth a shit, that's beside the point. But we just need to build a following to listen to the things that don't matter and don't make sense.
Yep.
That's our goal. That's our goal. All right. So I appreciate it, and hope you guys listen next time. This is the point where Shay says toodles.
Toodles.
Never heard a sound. Oh, he's my man, and he likes to jam. The bang starts to jam, moving up and down across the land. Got a wiggle all in his waist. Everything about him seems out of place, but moving, just moving, just a rubber band man, just moving, just a rubber band.